Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Who's ready? Welcome back, everybody, to an exciting episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing? I hope you all had a wonderful weekend, or you tried your best to have a good weekend, because I understand that it is pretty tough for everyone. Especially with some of the sad news that has actually happened, you know. Of course, just want to go and give a quick shout out to Jason David Frank, one of the biggest stars of the Power Rangers, who has unfortunately taken his own life, which is very tragic to hear. And I saw all across social media that this is a very beloved man. I personally have not seen Power Rangers myself, but I can already tell that this man has made a very significant impact across geek culture. So may he rest in peace. But most importantly, though, what I do want to go and discuss about is actually regarding what happened in Colorado Springs, where there was an unfortunate mass shooting that has unfortunately resulted in 5 deaths. Now, we have already done a lot of discussions in regards to gun control and the subjects of guns in America and stuff like that, but this really did put into perspective that there is another problem that's happening in America that is causing this massive violence to spread everywhere, and that is in regards to hate speech. Hate speech played a very significant factor as to what happened in Colorado Springs, especially when this occurred at a gay bar. Like, this was specifically targeting towards the LGBTQ plus community, considering how this year we've seen a lot of conservatives put in a lot of hate and really demonizing that community and trans people, calling them groomers, making them look evil, and doing whatever they can to show them as like evil terrorists that must be taken down and stuff like that. And that's what that I am confident has played a very significant factor, and the motives as to why that person really went out there to go and take down all those people at the gay bar. You know, or at the gay club specifically. In fact, the shooter has actually been reported to be the grandson of a conservative politician, someone whom is very much a massive Trump supporter and has spoken heavily against the LGBTQ plus community. So if we cannot do anything towards guns, if nothing can be done in terms of gun control in America, then something must be done in terms of hate speech, why it must be moderated, why it must be criminalized, and why we must go and treat people who support hate speech or want hate speech to be a part of free speech, to treat them like criminals, because that's what hate does. We all know that hate leads to violence, and that hate speech can easily go and result into making people to become violent criminals. That's why they are called hate crimes. And that's one thing that we need to go and stand up against. We need to go and stand up towards hate and hate speech, especially because now more than ever, the LGBTQ plus community, including trans people, need our help. They need the help of everyone to stand up for them, to protect their rights, and to show that they are equally as human as anyone else, that an LGBTQ plus person is equal to a white conservative, and there is no social status or anything or whatever status quo or whatever beliefs could say otherwise. And this is why that we have to go and call out the people who condone hate speech, who want hate speech to go and flourish, because people who support hate speech or want hate speech to be free speech, they are violent criminals, and we need to go and label them as such, because The shooter is no different than any anti-woke incel that you would find on the internet. No different than people like Ben Shapiro or The Quartering, or any people who watch stuff like Geeks Plus Gamers or Nerd Tonic or Nick Recchietta or whatever white nationalist channel there is on the internet. And that's why we need to say that it is either you stand and you support the LGBTQ plus community, you stand up for their rights, or you are a violent criminal. There's no in between on this. So anyways, that's just my little speech on that entire situation. Now, I will tell you right now, we do have one heck of an episode that we are about to get into. This is going to be a wild ride, even with some sudden news, so I hope you are ready for this. Brace yourselves, because this truly will be a crazy episode. So with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I'd like to ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? Let's see now. I see. Let's see. Yes, all right, that is the signal to know that we are all prepared for this episode. And now it is time that we shall go and get things started. And with our first story, we might as well go and get into, well, maybe not necessarily breaking news, but this one, it actually just happened last night. And I think it is safe to say that not only will this be one of, if not the biggest episode of, not the biggest episode, but the biggest news story of this episode, but easily one of the biggest entertainment news stories of the year. Because holy crap, like a lot of people were hoping that this would happen, but I didn't expect that it would happen this soon. So let's go ahead and talk about the changing of the Bobs at Walt Disney. Yes, specifically the fact that Bob Chapek is officially out as the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, and Bob Iger is back. Yes, the former CEO of the Walt Disney Company, the man before Bob Chapek, he has now returned to be the boss again. Woo, boy, excuse me. That's my lunch just returning to make an appearance in the show. But anyways, there is actually a bit of a message that the Walt Disney Company did put out to go and make this official announcement. I have my source here on Deadline, in which it is going to go and actually go and describe perfectly about this entire case. This is actually an official newsletter that Disney did put out. Hold on a sec. Where is it? Wow, this is not in the correct order as I thought. Okay, here it is. Okay, so let me just go and read you the official statement from Disney as it states. The Walt Disney Company announced today that Robert A. Iger is returning to lead Disney as Chief Executive Officer effective immediately. Mr. Iger, who spent more than 4 decades at the company, including 15 years as its CEO, has agreed to serve as Disney's CEO for 2 years, with a mandate from the board set the strategic direction for renewed growth and to work closely with the board in developing a successor to lead the company at the completion of his term. Mr. Iger succeeds Bob Chapek, who has stepped down from his position. We thank Bob Chapek for his services to Disney over his long career, including navigating the company through the unprecedented challenges of the pandemic, says Susan Arnold, chairman of the board. The board has concluded that as Disney embarks on an increasingly complex period of industry transformation, Bob Iger is uniquely situated to lead the company through this pivotal period. Mr. Iger has the deep respect of Disney's senior leadership team, most of whom he worked closely with until his departure as executive chairman 11 months ago, and he is greatly admired by Disney employees worldwide, all of which will allow for a seamless transition of leadership. The position of chairman of the board remains unchanged, with Mrs. Arnold serving, or Miss Arnold serving in that capacity. I am extremely optimistic for the future of this great company and thrilled to be asked by the board to return as its CEO. Disney, which by the way is a quote from Bob Iger, Disney and its incomparable brands and franchises hold a special place in the hearts of so many people around the globe, most especially in the hearts of our employees, whose dedication to this company and its mission is an inspiration. I am deeply honored to be asked to again lead this remarkable team with a clear mission focused on creative excellence to inspire generations through unrivaled, bold storytelling. And the rest of it is just a quick little summary about Mr. Iger's career in the Walt Disney Company and what he has done as the CEO. But long story short of this is that they have officially kicked out Bob Chapek so that Bob Iger can be the CEO for the next 2 years. Not only to go and fix up the mistakes of Bob Chapek, but also to go and find a new successor who is going to replace him by 2025 and onward, of course. So yeah, honestly, I think it is safe to say that this is a massive shock. Like, when I saw that last night, like, when I just glanced at that news, I remember my friend Ryan just showed me the article and he just screamed out, "What?" Like, I saw that and I thought it was just a little piece about how Bob Iger was talking behind the back of Bob Chapek. And, like, we already knew that Bob Iger wasn't necessarily that big of a fan of Bob Chapek, especially as the Disney CEO. But now seeing this, like, holy crap, I did not expect that move to happen, especially when it was a few months ago that they signed on Bob Chapek to be the CEO for, like, the next 3 years. But I guess the situation has gone very, very bad. Like, oh boy, like, you know when it's bad, when the old boss has to return to go and say, all right, that's it, you messed up enough, GTFO. Like, it really was that bad. Oh boy. And I mean, like, for the longest time, like, we've heard about Bob Iger talking about his retirement, that he wanted to leave and stuff like that. And he even stayed at the company for a little longer to make sure things are okay during the pandemic and stuff like that. But hearing that he is back as the CEO was not something I would ever expect to hear in 2022, especially, because that's honestly the craziest thing with Bob Chapek, with how long he actually stayed, because in a way, he had only been the CEO at the Walt Disney Company for less than a year, like starting from 2022 onward. But I know that at this point, some people might say, well, then, hold on a sec, AniMat, you might be wrong on that, because technically, he was officially the new CEO of the Walt Disney Company starting in February of 2020. Well, that is technically true, but the reason why I don't count that and moving forward, like, the reason why I don't necessarily count him as a CEO from 2020 and 2021 is because from there, he had training wheels. Like I said before, Bob Iger had to stay in order to make sure the company can stay afloat during the pandemic. He had to make sure that the creative side of things is going pretty well, considering that Bob Chapek never really had much experience in terms of the creative aspect of the Walt Disney Company. So Bob Iger had to stay there. He had to make sure the creative side of things are perfectly fine. And then by 2022, that's when he left, and that's when Bob Chapek was officially his own boss, when he was officially the head of the Walt Disney Company with no other help whatsoever. But I will say, though, some people have actually pointed out that it's actually funny that if you do count the amount of days that Bob Chapek was the CEO from February all the way up to very recently, which was the day before that I am recording this right now on November 20th, believe it or not, Bob Chapek was the CEO of Disney for 999 days. I am not kidding. Which actually does make it the first time ever in the history of the Walt Disney Company that they legitimately said to someone, "I am so sorry, but there is no room for 1,000. Oh man, but you might be wondering at this point, though, it's just, how is it that Bob Chapek, like, massively failed? How is it that he was running the Walt Disney Company throughout 2022 and then suddenly his time was pretty much done? Like, what is it that went wrong with the whole history of Bob Chapek? What is it about him that didn't work out with Disney? And I thought about this, and I did read, like, a whole bunch of articles, including this one from Deadline, which did actually bring up some few points that I will be talking about as well. And I think ultimately the biggest reason why Bob Chapek was a massive failure as a Disney CEO was because of the fact that he cared about one thing and one thing only: money. Like, he really was a man that really had no opinion on anything, didn't want to take any sides. Like, for him, the biggest priority was just to make money. Now, I know some people could argue that that's the job of every other CEO. That was the job of Bob Chapek, of Michael Eisner, and even of Walt Disney. But the thing is that what makes it so different with Bob Chapek and all those other CEOs is that Chapek doesn't hide it. Like, he puts it out front and center that the only thing he really cares about is money. And there have been numerous of times where that really did screw him over. Like, probably one of his biggest blunders was actually how he handled the Don't Say Gay controversy. You probably remember earlier this year when Florida and Ron DeSantis, the Florida governor and notorious human trafficker, decided to go and write down the Don't Say Gay bill, which was extremely homophobic, and it really was to go and suppress the rights of the LGBTQ plus community. And everybody has pretty much been warning people that this is a bad thing. It's a heavily bigoted thing. And it's one of those things that pretty much fueled the hatred of Republicans, which ultimately resulted in tragic incidents, just like what we have seen in Colorado Springs. Now, when it comes to Bob Chapek, for the longest time, he just wanted to say nothing. Like, he tried his best to stay politically neutral as possible and to try to stay out of it, despite the fact that millions of people have been pleading to Bob Iger to go and actually say something, considering that Disney is the one thing that is more powerful than the Florida government, especially when Disney's the one that's been fueling most of the economy down in Florida with the Walt Disney World Resort. But the thing is with Bob Chapek is that he kept trying to resist, kept trying to be as politically neutral, not really say much, and the things that he tried to say wasn't really helping at all. But it wasn't until the bill was officially signed and the damage was done when Bob Chapek finally had the courage to go and actually say something, that now he decided to go and stand up and support the LGBTQ plus community, to take action, to go against Republican governors or Republican politicians who go against the LGBTQ plus community. And that all, like, the only thing that it has done is just damage. Like, already a lot of people just immediately lost faith in Bob Chapek to go and immediately do the right thing. Like, they already lost their support. But also, it caused some grave consequences, especially when it comes to conservatives, where we see a lot of right-wing personalities and we see a lot of Republicans just flat out attack Disney. Even to this day, Disney has pretty much become a right-wing target number one, where they would continuously go and attack Disney for their support of the LGBTQ plus community, going after them with vicious attacks of calling them groomers, even to the point of trying to hint out that they want to go and try to commit a mass shooting at a Disney park, whether it be at Disneyland or at Walt Disney World. Like, they want to try to put out subtle clues that they want to inspire their radicalized base, that maybe one of them can go and shoot down people because of Disney's support for the LGBTQ plus community. Like, it really could not, like, honestly, a lot of that could have been avoided if Bob Chapek could have said something beforehand. Even with Bob Iger, like, right when this Don't Say Gay bill was announced and that it was reviewed by Florida politicians, Bob Iger immediately said something that this is heavily bigoted, that it's wrong, and that they shouldn't do this. Bob Chapek just stayed on the side, and again, he waited until it was too late. So already, that immediately caused a PR nightmare that to this day Disney is still suffering from. But that's not all, though. Another one that many people have pointed out is when Bob Chapek screwed over creatives, that a lot of them lost their trust on Bob Chapek when it comes to filmmakers and the way that he would go and try to distribute movies. And what I'm talking about specifically was the incident that happened with Black Widow, when Bob Chapek decided that with Black Widow, he wanted to do his simultaneous release, to go and release it at the same time on the big screen and on Disney Plus, which really did conflict with Scarlett Johansson's contract, considering that she was both an executive producer and the star of the feature. Like, she had some specific terms that Disney had to go and meet, and obviously they were pretty much broken. In fact, to go into a little bit more detail, this was actually one of the points that they actually brought up here on Deadline, which I believe it was somewhere, let's see, it's down here. Yeah, okay, yeah. It was like right here, in which they stated another misstep, which many in the industry believe would never have happened on his predecessor's watch, was publicly clashing with Scarlett Johansson over the release of Black Widow. The Marvel movie had gone through the premiere access window, a Chapek innovation during the pandemic that hasn't been used in more than a year, meaning it was available for an extra charge on Disney Plus at the same time it hit theaters. The actress sued over breach of contract, saying the method of release had cost her tens of millions in back-end payments. Disney hit back hard, calling Johansson's suit especially sad and distressing in its callous disregard to the horrific and prolonged global effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Like, they tried, like, the thing is that Disney and Bob Chapek tried to go and fight back with the lawsuit. Now, everything is pretty much settled, but the way that Disney handled it not only was awful, but it was also especially hypocritical, considering that it was also at a time when Disney was reopening Walt Disney World and not really doing a whole lot in terms of restrictions. Like, there were some, but there wasn't like necessarily a lot to go and protect people from COVID-19. So again, it was very hypocritical of them to go and do so. But I would say one of the most damaging things, it would have to be in regards to the theme parks, actually. Speaking of which, that is probably the straw that broke the camel's back when it comes to this. Or at least, like, what would be the biggest problem of them all, because I guess you could say that what would be the straw that broke the camel's back was actually the recent announcement that Bob Chapek was preparing for thousands of layoffs. Like, he was ready to go and let go of, I think it was reported 11,000 employees to go and try to save up costs. But, well, I guess we don't know where that's gonna happen. But the thing is that this really is the massive thing that really did prove that Bob Chapek only cared about the money, and he did not care about anyone else. He didn't care about the employees' well-being. He didn't care about the customers' well-being. He doesn't care about literally anything else other than money. Because the thing is that his strategy, in order to make money back over the billions of dollars that they have lost over the Disney parks, is that he would try to go and charge everything at Disney, like really jack up the price on so many things, and even taking things that were once free and then just adding adding a paywall to them, like pretty much making Walt Disney World and all Disney parks more and more and more and more expensive, to the point that it's near impossible for anybody who would be in the working class or under to actually go to the Disney parks. Like, trying to make, like, he was hoping that trying to make it more expensive would actually help out in terms of the overcapacity problem at the Disney parks, but that didn't really solve that. It just became more problematic, and it just caused customers to be more and more angry, and to make things worse with the PR, to cause more backlash against Bob Chapek. So honestly, in my opinion, I think that really is the biggest thing. Like, to summarize it, is that Bob Chapek made it unapologetically clear that he only cares about the money. Even recently, there was an interview with the Washington Post where he even stated that he was well aware that Disney fans do not like him, but he doesn't care because, well, the likability of a CEO is not really a factor when it comes to making money. Which, I mean, nowadays, that's not necessarily true. And yeah, the likability of a CEO would actually play a factor in business and making money, but that's not the point. Bob Chapek only cares about one thing and one thing only, and that is just to go and make money. And that's the problem. That's why he is unsuitable for being in charge of the Walt Disney Company, especially when this is a company that in which the core of it all is creativity. And if you have no experience in creativity, or you don't even care or try to fuel that creativity, then you're pretty much messing things up. Then you're pretty much turning it into something that's completely soulless, no different than most other money-making companies out there. And I know some people could say that, well, I mean, Disney has always been that way, but with Bob Chapek, it is much more clear how soulless the company is, but more so than any other time where they had a different CEO, like Disney or Walt Disney, Roy Disney, even like Ron Miller, but also with Michael Eisner and Bob Iger. It's just really been like something that made it clear that with Bob Chapek, he's just like, he does not represent the Disney brand. That's the major thing. You look at Bob Chapek, you look at his values and stuff like that. He just doesn't care. He just wants to go and follow where the money goes and tries, and all his decisions are fueled by what is the most profitable instead of selecting what is the right thing to do, which Bob Iger has a long history of actually doing so, of actually taking action and doing things that maybe it would cost him, but it is morally the right thing to do. Rather it be his stance on the LGBTQ plus community to take action to go and support them, or even with John Lasseter, as difficult of a decision that it was, he had to go and stand up to John and say, okay, you are a problem with all your misconducts that you have done. You got to get out of here. Yeah, and those are decisions that I don't really see Bob Chapek in actually doing. I'll just say that now. Like, if Bob Chapek were the CEO of Disney during Bob Iger's time, he would not fire John Lasseter at all. He would keep him until like everybody got mad at him, until there are like walkouts and protests, and then he would have no choice and do action. Like, he would have to have the public to force him to try to do the right thing. And honestly, that's my major take, at least why Bob Chapek is out. Now, personally, I'll just say now, am I happy to see Bob Iger back and that Bob Chapek is out? Honestly, yes. Like, say what you will about Bob Iger. Yes, he has a lot of flaws. Yes, he has done a lot of controversial decisions, but he is still a great CEO that did manage to revive the Walt Disney Company, Like, he really did an amazing job fixing up a lot of Michael Eisner's mistakes, really making them fresh and really making them the highlight of his entire career as the Disney CEO. Like, he really did turn Disney into this like mega corporation that we know today, especially leading the way to actually make Disney's future bigger and brighter with Disney Plus. So honestly, yeah, like, I can understand the criticisms towards Bob Iger, but honestly, this whole thing is a massive step up compared to Bob Chapek. So I think things, at least for now, things are going to be a little bit better with the Walt Disney Company. Now, with that said, we're going to go and take a quick break. You guys go and think up about your comments about how you feel about this situation. So when we return after these messages, I'm going to go and pass on the mic to the chat wall. All right, so we are back, and now it is time that we shall go and pass on to the chat wall, and we will go and ask you all, what do you think? How do you feel about this news that Bob Iger is back as the Disney CEO and that Bob Chapek is out? Let me know what you guys think on all this. So let's see now. Who do we have here? Okay. I guess after hearing all about what happened at Disney recently, Iger had to react that one Big Weld scene from Robots. Oh, he had to reenact that one Big Weld scene from Robots. Chapek has certainly done a lot of damage to Disney's reputation, whether it be the Don't Say Gay bill, shutting down Blue Sky, raising the price of everything, the recent poor advertising, or even saying that animation is only for kids and not adults. Even a Mickey Mouse doll would be a better CEO than Bob Chapek. Let's hope that Iger can fix up a lot of Chapek's damage. Okay, now and that is also one thing that I have seen that a lot of people are saying, that Bob Chapek is responsible for the shutdown of Blue Sky Studios. Now, that is something that I cannot 100% confirm that this is actually the case, but I don't know if I would say immediately that it's all because of Chapek. That's something that honestly would require a little bit more information. That would require a bit more inside resources to know if this would be true or not. But you know, like, there's a lot of things that he did definitely screw up, like especially with the Don't Say Gay bill and how he handled things with the whole Scarlett Johansson controversy. But with Blue Sky Studios, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily confirm that. Let's see. What else do we have here? I can't believe that Disney fired Bob Chapek and Bob Iger is back. That is amazing. Hopefully he can fix a lot of the things that Chapek caused at the company. Chapek is an awful CEO that said animation is for kids and not standing up to the Don't Say Gay bill. He was such a pathetic CEO. Thank goodness he is gone and Iger is back, and hopefully he can fix the problems that he caused. Also, Zaslav, you're next. Well, good luck with that. I mean, like, that was also something that I've seen a lot of people on social media commenting and pretty much expressing their wish that now that Bob Chapek is gone, hopefully we can also get rid of David Zaslav. But you gotta go and keep in mind something. Disney is much more of a competent company than Warner Brothers. I mean, we're talking about the same company that has collected billions of dollars of debt over the years, regardless of who would they be owned by, rather it be with Time Warner or now that it's turned into Warner Brothers Discovery. It's just, yeah, honestly, they got a lot of issues, and I don't know if David Zaslav would leave anytime soon. I mean, I understand how you feel, and I would love to see David Zaslav be switched to someone else, but the thing is that the company right now, not as competent as Disney, I'm just saying. Let's see. I felt relief when I saw this new Disney shocker. Bob Iger is a great CEO at Disney. As for Bob Chapek, it's best for him to leave Disney because not only money, but he also said that animation is just for kids only, which really made everyone upset. I believe that Bob Iger will fix everything at Disney and undo the damage that Bob Chapek has done. Welcome back, Bob Iger, and go F yourself, Bob Chapek. Oh boy, I wonder how many comments am I going to read that one of the things that people are really the most upset about is the fact that Bob Chapek said that animation is for kids. Because I know that is a massive trigger for animation fans, but I didn't expect it to be like really this much of a factor for people to say, Bob Chapek has to go! Oh, let's see, what else do we have here? Good, just good. Bob Chapek done mistakes for not giving creative freedom to studios and film directors, making decisions for films released only on Disney Plus, focusing more on the Disney Plus ad tier instead of expanding more international markets, and the list goes on. Bob Iger is a good example of a better businessman that cares about creativity than just money. The next CEO that needs to be out is Jim Ryan at Sony Interactive Entertainment, where he is ruining PlayStation's legacy. Oh boy, does everybody have a list of CEOs that they want to see just get taken down entirely? Like, you know, it's funny to see that Disney has made that very unexpected move on Sunday night, and now everybody is going out of their way to say, okay, now that we got Bob Chapek out, I want to see this guy out, I want to see this guy out, I want to see this guy out, that guy, maybe he could stay, but that guy totally needs to be out. Oh boy, suddenly you're really setting your dreams high and setting your expectations high to see a lot of companies suddenly be under new management. Like, granted, I get it. This is like an insane scenario, and if you told me that this would happen last week, honestly, I would think you're completely insane. So yeah, I understand that this scenario right here is completely unexpected, but don't expect other people to follow suit. I'm just saying. Let's see now. I know the article says Chapek stepped down, but come on. There had to be at least someone at Disney who went all Uncle Phil on his ass. But for real, I hated what Chapek was doing as CEO, so I'm more than glad to hear that Iger's stepping back in, especially now that I don't have to worry about the theatrical release of Pixar films. Here's hoping that Iger can right those wrongs and run the company smoothly. I'm also hoping Zaslav gets the same treatment. He's practically Chapek on steroids. I wouldn't say steroids. Steroids would make you jack up. I would say more like he actually, I know this is a term that has often been said a lot, but honestly, I think it's a little bit more accurate to say that Zaslav is Chapek on cocaine. Because honestly, a lot of those decisions that Zaslav has done, you'd have to be on cocaine to really be that crazy to go and actually do that. Okay, I think honestly I'm going to read one more comment before we go and move, or actually, yeah, we're going to go 2 more comments before we go and move on to what happens. Well, we're going to move on to the next story. Anyways, I never thought I'd say this, but I'm glad that Bob Iger is back as CEO while Bob Chapek is gone. For the past few years, Bob Chapek as CEO was the worst thing to come out of the Walt Disney Company. All he does is screw up the creators, jack up the prices for theme parks, and doesn't do much to stop controversial topics like the Florida bill, for example. So bringing Bob Iger back was the smart thing that the company has done for quite some time, so it's best to bring the old Bob back to fix things up. Exactly. I mean, like, especially when Bob Iger has that reputation of like what I said before, to go and take the mistakes of the previous CEO and turn it into the highlights of his career. Kind of like with, like probably one of the best examples is Disney California Adventure, where he took that mistake by Eisner and turned it into a theme park that has equal caliber to Disneyland right next door. All right, so let's go and read one more comment here. After everything that has happened, I could definitely tell Chapek only cared about money. Yes, Iger was perfect, but he was responsible. Iger wasn't perfect, but he was responsible for reviving Disney. Chapek, on the other hand, is basically more of a selfish Mr. Krabs. If it involves money, he'll do it. By the way, I actually identify as non-binary in real life, and hearing how Chapek just keeps his mouth shut when the Don't Say Gay bill controversy happened, I just want to be like the wolf from Sing 2 and throw this man off the roof. Well, then again, you need a better analogy, because when the wolf did that in Sing 2, at least Buster Moon did manage to survive and he ended up becoming victorious. So honestly, I would recommend a different analogy, but I do get what you mean though. So overall, I think this is a moment that we are all celebrating, especially Disney fans. I don't know if you guys saw the clip, but someone actually filmed at Disneyland all these Disney fans that are on Main Street USA, and they were cheering and celebrating that Bob Iger is back and that Bob Chapek is out. Like, you would think that they were all celebrating because their team at the FIFA World Cup managed to win or something like that. But yeah, so it looks like the old Bob is out and the new Bob, or technically the older Bob, is now at Disney. So let's hope for the best for the Walt Disney Company and that Bob Iger does go and reshape Disney back to its former glory when he was the Disney CEO. So we're okay. Well, that thing is pretty much done. Now that we've pretty much said our thoughts on it, we will be right back. And we are going to go and watch a whole bunch of trailers, and a lot of them that has caught a lot of people's eyes, and the ones that have been very much talked about. So stay tuned for that. And we are back. And now it is time that we are going to go and check out some trailers. Now, originally, before the news broke out about Bob Iger coming back and Bob Chapek got kicked out, originally, this episode would be all about trailers. Like, the grand majority or almost all of the stories would be about trailers, and we would just be checking them out one by one, and we would just have like a big trailer talk. Like, it would have been a very trailer-centric episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. But in this case here, however, considering that the news broke out, I had to go and immediately make some changes. We're not going to be watching as much trailers as before, but the grand majority, or well, not the grand majority, the majority of the news stories that we will be looking into, it will indeed be trailer talk. And what a coincidence that we started off with a Disney story, because now the first trailer that we are going to go and look into is actually going to be Pixar's next animated feature. Considering that now we've talked about how the future does look brighter for Disney, maybe things will look brighter with Pixar's next animated feature, as they have now presented us the first public look into their upcoming animated film, Elemental. So let's go and check this one out.
Sorry. I'm Wade.
Elemental, in which the movie is going to be released in June of 2023. Now, one thing I gotta say is that I remember back when this entire concept was first announced, and it was met with a whole lot of backlash. Well, not necessarily backlash, but a lot of cynicism. Everybody was really harping hard on the concept of it. People were pretty much making fun of it and pretty much bashing it already. Like, you saw how, like, a lot of people on the internet, they were just ready to go and hate it, and that they were saying that the concept looks way too similar to an indie video game and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, after looking at this trailer, I honestly completely forgot about, like, why is it that people hate this again? You know, because I'm not gonna lie, what I saw here is fantastic. Now, granted, keep in mind that this is just a teaser trailer, so it doesn't really necessarily explain it to us a whole lot as to what happened. It doesn't tell us necessarily in regards to what the plot is going to be about. We don't necessarily know who the main characters are, like Wade or Ember. Like, for now, it just shows us a bit of the concept. But the way that it presents us the concept is fantastic. Like, one thing I will say that it actually does very, very well is showing us the idea of these elements coming to life and how they would go and interact with one another. Now, maybe it's not necessarily with all elements, because Ember is the only fire girl or the only fire character of that entire teaser trailer, while everyone else, such as the earth characters or the plant characters, the water characters, and the wind characters, they were all huddling with each other just fine in the subway. But still, it was great to see all the different gags and all the different ideas and all the different, like, character types that they would go and think up. Like, all the different styles of people that they have, all the different, like, types of plants or types of clouds, or even the water types are all different. Like, they have all these different ideas and all these different abilities that these people could do, like how the earth characters can grow plants and stuff, or as we just saw with the cloud characters or the wind characters, how they could just, like, easily fly around with no problem. And and also, like, you would have, like, these cute little moments, like, yeah, you got the flower, or like honestly one of my favorite gags is actually with the water character having a cold, and then suddenly you see the hair just growing on the earth character right there. Like, let's see that again. Now you're my ass. Like, I will admit, that is cute. And one thing I really do like about it is that it shows us all the opportunities, or not necessarily all the opportunities, but gives us a really good taste of what this concept is about this world where different elements mix and mingle together in this one big city. Now, that I actually do find to be really cool, and it does present to us all those ideas pretty well, and even some of the, like, even a little taste of, like, some of the consequences where some of them don't necessarily mix. And that's what we actually saw right at the end with the interaction with Ember and Wade, like right over here. Like how she got stung a little bit with that drop of water from Wade. That was actually pretty cool. So honestly, with those ideas, I think honestly that's one thing that really did sell me on this movie, and I think it did beautifully. And also on a side note, funny enough, even though this is a teaser trailer and it doesn't show us or tell us a lot, I actually do like that because it actually does promise that there is so much more to come. And one thing I'm really excited about is in regards to the city, and that's one thing I really am hyped about because we do have like one little taste of what the city is going to look like. Hold on. Yeah, like right over here. That's the most that we can see of the store of the city so far, like with all the different buildings and how different elements live with one another, with like the wind characters and the earth characters and the water characters. I don't know if we see much for the fire characters though, but like we see like how they all can interact and all live amongst each other in one big city. Now, at this point, I wanted to go and make one big clarification because this is also something that right now people are really criticizing this movie over, or at least what they have seen from the teaser trailer. It's the fact that right now people are feeling like it is a little bit too similar. The fact that we are seeing certain types of characters and now they're all living and interacting with each other in this massive city. And this is something that Disney has often done recently, like for example Zootopia, or with Coco, like with that whole land of the dead, or even with Zootopia itself, or how it is a big city with all these different mammals mixing and mingling together. And I'm just gonna go and say this. Like, I do understand what they mean with those comparisons. And I'm not going to say that I am better than them. And I know that I have been guilty myself of making those types of comparisons and using that as a criticism. I'll admit that maybe it is a bit of a bad habit that I have done sometimes, or kind of often. But the point is that I know that I've been guilty of that too in several of my reviews. But I gotta say that honestly, this is a case where I actually do like it. Like, I make those comparisons, and that's what I kind of like about it. I mean, I love Zootopia. I love Coco. And I love how this is honestly reminding me of those movies where we're getting a different flavor of those feature films, that we're getting something like those films, but now based on the elements, that we're seeing a city that's entirely based on earth, wind, fire, and water. That's what I actually like because, you know, it really brings out a lot of creativity with these feature films. And especially with a studio that has a massively high caliber like either Disney or especially Pixar, I know that they're able to go and pull this off, and it's going to be massively extravagant. It's already something that it's grabbing my attention, and already it makes me pretty optimistic to see what else is in store with this feature film. And this is not even to mention how the animation itself is fantastic. I mean, already they're presenting the concepts very, very well, but it's especially with the animation. Like, this is really where the effects, like the visual effects team, like they are in front and center of this feature film in order to go and bring these characters to life. And already the characters look absolutely beautiful. Like the water characters look great. The wind characters look great as like living clouds. The plant characters, you know, there's a lot of fun creative possibilities with like how they are the earth and like how they're also like plants and stuff like that. And also Ember herself as like a living fire character. Like, it's just fantastic. And I think honestly, first and foremost, it's the animation itself that's already making a fantastic first impression. And even though we don't necessarily have much knowledge in terms of what the plot is going to be about, I can already tell that a lot of people are already in love with the dynamic of Wade, and especially with Ember. Like, honestly, it's kind of funny to see that a lot of people have been talking about the romance, and already people are just falling in love with these characters, and they love to see the dynamic that's going on, almost like kind of a Romeo and Juliet thing going on, of like two people that shouldn't be together, but they're suddenly gonna be together and stuff like that. But I will say, honestly, there's one person who summarized it the best, literally more than anyone else, and that has to be Jack's Blade. Oh my God, on Twitter, he actually put out the best and funniest comment that I've seen, that this movie is about a girl who it's about an interracial couple with a girl who is smoking hot and a guy who wants to make her wet. Like, honestly, that's the summary right there. That needs to be the official synopsis of Elemental. Like, that is just perfect right there. Oh boy. And by the way, speaking of which, on a side note, yes, I am actually guilty of actually finding Ember to be really, really cute. Like, honestly, like just from the looks of her and like seeing how she is a little bit in this trailer, and even with this shot right over here, like, honestly, she's a girl who's worth the second, like, she's worth the second degree burns. Like, I definitely would. No, but overall though, I really like I really like how they have presented this trailer. I think honestly, this is fantastic, and we may have another great winner with Pixar. I know a lot of people are making fun of how Pixar is always into this, like, what if blank has feelings and stuff like that, and now we've reached the point where we have what if the elements have feelings. But so far, they're presenting it so well. I mean, yeah, we've all made fun of Pixar when they made a movie about what if feelings had feelings, but then when Inside Out was released, that turned out to be one of their best films yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is the same case, that, like, yeah, people are doubting it now, but when the movie will come out, it'll turn out to be absolutely phenomenal. And I'll say right now, maybe I'll be wrong, but so far from what we have seen in this trailer, I think Across the Spider-Verse might have some legitimate competition. They need to watch out, because if Elemental turns out to be a hit and people love it as much as many of the other Pixar films, then they might have a real winner right there, like something that could even overshadow Across the Spider-Verse. But then again, I could be wrong, and this is just a teaser. But I will say the teaser has done a phenomenal job in doing its job. It presents its concept very well, it presents the animation very well, and it has so far grabbed my attention, where now I am optimistically curious to see what this movie is about. And if you are excited to see when this movie will be released, well then keep in mind that the film will be coming out in June of 2023. All right, so now with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and it's time that I ask you, how do you all feel about the teaser trailer of Elemental? What do you think? Are you guys impressed with what you have seen? Are you guys still very doubtful of this movie? Do you not think it might turn out to be good? Let me know your honest opinion on this. Let's see. Might as well start off with the one who is literally called Pixar Girl. Let's see. I love this. My sister, who is an animator, said she feels terrible for the animators. I don't blame her looking at how these characters' effects are as well. Also, I ship Ember and Wade already. On one hand, I want more male-female platonic friendships, but I also kind of ship it. The character designs are cute and cool as effects, and with their animation, Ember is going to have a lot of people be thirsty. Oh, the irony right there, that people get thirsty for a fire girl. I can't wait to see this. I'm glad Peter Sohn is making his movie not just be a last-minute replacement. Exactly. And that's another thing that I'm personally looking forward to as a Pixar fan, that this is the true Peter Sohn directorial debut. Like, he's not taking the helm from someone else's passion project. Like, this is purely his own movie. And he even stated himself that this is his own personal story. This is based on when he grew up in New York City. You know, it's kind of like the same personal stories that we have recently seen with movies such as Turning Red with Domi Shi, and with Luca with Enrico Casarosa. So honestly, if it's going to be in the same leagues as those films, then I think we're going to be in for a great time with Elemental. Let's see now. Can we talk about the music choice in this? Helen backed by Bakar bring a different vibe to bring vibe to it, and the teaser reminds me of the older Pixar teasers like Monsters Inc. and Wall-E. Is the perfect example of not saying what the plot is, but give you how the vibe and the setting will be when we watch it. The animation and designs is creative. The Pixar lamp to train transition is flawless, and Ember is smoking hot. Puns. I can't wait to see and hoping it gets a theatrical release. Yeah, that is true, honestly. I never actually noticed that. Let's actually watch that again. Like, let's just go back to the beginning. Ooh, that's a nice transition right there. Good eye on that, Mr. Sakurai. Good eye on that. Ooh, that is actually very nice there. Anyways, at first, when I saw the concept, I felt like it came from not only a video game, but an animated short called A Light. But when I saw the trailer, it actually looks awesome. The gags I find funny, was the flower armpit scene and the water dude sneezing at the dirt guy, and all of a sudden he grows grass hair. And not only that, the background music sounds catchy. I'm pretty optimistic about this film, and I'll give it a watch. Also, Ember is, Ember, in the words of Jim Carrey, is smoking. Oh boy, yeah. Honestly, one of the comments just said like, "Oh, there's gonna be a lot of people that will be thirsty." You might have to go and change that that phrase right there. It's not will be, it's is, because people are now having a crush on Ember now. Okay, let's see what we got here. Let's see. In short, looks absolutely sick. I love how unique and vibrant everything looks. The world of Element City looks great, and the story itself about two lovers who can't even touch is really creative. But I feel like if this were R-rated, the film would end with something that starts as a sex scene but ends up with both them instantly dying, with the credits singing, "Glory, glory, what a hell of a way to die." Also, if I say Ember is pretty hot, am I going to be sent to Horty jail or bad pun jail? I don't know. I think maybe, honestly, I'm just going to say you're going to go to bad pun jail, because at this rate, Horty jail is a little bit overcapacitated with people who have a crush on Ember. I'm just saying. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Even though this trailer isn't giving much away in terms of what the world building looks like, I will say that the character designs look creative and unique from all the creative elementals. And Ember, the fire girl, does look pretty cute, but I can't imagine how many people are going to be so horny over the fire girl in particular that results in horny jail. Looking at you, Matt. Looking at me? Look at the freaking chat wall, dude! Everybody's godforsaken horny for Ember! I'm just saying, it ain't me! But anyways, it looked interesting. It looks interesting so far, and I just hope this film is on the level of more of Turning Red than Lightyear. All right, fair enough. Let's see what else we got. Once again, Pixar is going to infinity and beyond with a rather interesting concept. Besides the amazing animation, I love just the visual effects, but also the various ways these characters interact with both the environment and other characters. I do, however, understand a possible fear some people have with this movie is that it will be yet another forbidden love story, especially with all the signs possibly pointing to that direction. It could, but then again, it's all about execution, so we may have to go and wait and see on that. Let's see. I will definitely keep an eye on this one. It could be an interesting take on the boy meets girl story, not just because the boy is made of water and the girl is made of fire. Element City has a lot of potential for world building and visual humor. While not on the top of my anticipated list of 2023, it does have my curiosity. All right, I think I'm gonna go and read one more comment before we move on to the next trailer. So I'll go with who would it be? I'll go as I'll just go with this one. First of all, Ember is such a hot babe. Literally, she's hot. But yeah, Elemental absolutely will be great. Saw a bit of it at D23 Expo, and I was impressed with the character designs and backgrounds. Hopefully, we will get something unique and great with this Pixar film. Also, bonus points for having more Asian filmmakers in Pixar, especially Domi Shi. Well, I mean, to be fair, Peter Sohn was already very well established at Pixar. Like he's already making a big name for himself and already like really climbing up the ranks, like to be on par with the other like Pixar greats like Pete Docter, Lee Unkrich, and Andrew Stanton. So already, I mean, you know, again, like I definitely do agree. It's great to see some more people of color representation in terms of animation directors, and especially at Pixar. But I will say, like with Peter Sohn, he was already there, but still, definitely great to see that. So overall, like I said before, honestly, I like what I'm seeing so far with Elemental, and hopefully we will see more of that greatness, or see that greatness expand when the movie will come out in June of 2023. And we will be right back with our next trailer, in which we will be going into plenty of other different dimensions and universes. And no, it's not with Miles Morales. And we are back. And for our next trailer that we have over here, let's go and talk about one of the most talked about video game characters very recently, Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic has been making a lot of news lately, especially with the release of his brand new video game, Sonic Frontiers, to which the reviews actually turned out to be surprisingly positive. Like they're not necessarily Game of the Year level reviews, but a lot of critics are actually saying that it's a lot of fun. I mean, I could talk about like what has happened with Sonic Frontiers, especially with the controversial reactions to the YouTuber Donkey and stuff like that, but that's a whole other story right there. And also, on a side note, there's also the story in regards to what happened to the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, Yuji Naka, to which he was arrested. Yep, apparently that was a thing that actually happened, that the Sonic creator was arrested. Now, I could go on with that, but there are other priorities that I want to go and take. Priority, most namingly with this trailer right over here, which is going to be the brand new animated series of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is going to be coming soon onto Netflix. And we have previously talked about it before and got a little taste of what it's going to be. But now we are going to see a true full-on trailer that shows us what this is going to be about. So without further ado, let's go ahead and now check out the trailer for the upcoming Netflix series, Sonic Prime. There we go. Just need to put down my screen. Next month on December 15th. And honestly, from what I have seen so far with all this, and I mean, I've already talked plenty before about my experience with Sonic the Hedgehog, that I would consider myself more of a casual fan, but not like a major diehard fan where I would be heavily involved with Sonic discussions online and stuff like that. I try to avoid that like the plague. But there are some Sonic games that I personally do enjoy, and I do have some fun with the movies, especially with the second one, where it is so stupid that it makes it one of the most enjoyable times that I've ever had watching a film on the big screen. So that was definitely a lot of fun. But when it comes to this, I would say that I feel a little bit mixed. I do see a lot of great potential with it, but I also see a lot of stuff that might turn me off a little bit, honestly. Like, oh, okay, now let's just go and start things off with the positives in this. Like, first and foremost, I would have to say that the voice cast is actually really awesome. Like, hearing the new takes of characters like Sonic, with Eggman, with Tails, and all those guys, like, there's a part of it where it feels familiar. Like, honestly, it's the kind of voiceover work that if nobody told you that they replaced the voice actors, you probably would not have noticed. Like, it would require someone who has spent years or maybe even decades of consuming Sonic products where they would like really tell, like, okay, yeah, that's a different Sonic. No, this ain't the same Sonic. This ain't like Roger Craig Smith or whatever. But honestly, I do like the voice acting here. So far, the cast has already proven themselves to be really good at what they do, especially with these new takes. Like let's just have a listen once again. Already these takes of you know, these new takes of Eggman and Sonic, again, it gives you the familiarity of the previous voice actors who played the characters, but at the same time it's still like a fresh new take that still stays true to the character. So already I think the voiceover work has already given me a good check mark there, so that I have confidence that they can have fun with it. Also at the same time, one thing that really does look good here is the animation. Like the animation here looks fantastic, and I could see how this can be a lot of fun. I could see how this can be very action packed, that it can pretty much deliver what fans absolutely love about Sonic the Hedgehog. All that, you know, that blazing speed action, all the, you know, all the running, all the jumping and destroying many different types of robots. And not to mention how it really does stay true to the Sonic the Hedgehog design. Like this really feels like it came out of a Sonic game. And honestly, this really feels like the style of animation that could easily pass off as animation for like cutscenes for a recent Sonic game. Like this would have been, you know, honestly, this could have just passed off as like clips for Sonic Frontiers and people would actually go and believe them. So honestly, the animation, and not to mention with the fact that they jump into different dimensions, gives a lot of creative, it gives out a lot of creative liberties for the people to show like many different interpretations of these Sonic characters. Like we already seen like dystopian versions of Sonic characters. Like we saw like how other characters like Tails, for example, is pretty much turned into, hold on a sec. Yeah, like right over here, Tails is now turned into Doc Ock. And then we also got like another one, like we got a cyborg Amy. And then like you also got like Knuckles and Amy, Knuckles and Rouge being being rebels and stuff like that. But then like, yeah, that's the dystopian one. But we also seen like we saw like survival versions of these characters. We saw pirate versions of these characters as well. Like we got the pirate versions, but they still stay true to like the characters that we know and love as well. Like, yeah, they are similar in their own way, but they're also like different with the fact that they got like brand new costumes and brand new skins and stuff like that. So like there's a lot of creative liberties that they are doing with the animation, like also so many different creative possibilities. And also I gotta say one thing that is cool, and probably like according to this, what seems to be the most replayed part and what many people seem to be pretty excited about is Shadow's appearance. That apparently Shadow is going to be playing a role in this, and he's going to be the only one that actually recognizes Sonic for who he is. That maybe there's a lot more to this entire Paradox plot line that's going on, and apparently Shadow might play a significant role in this too. So already there are some things that are pretty cool. But in terms of the criticisms that I do have, at least in terms of like what they are showing us in this trailer, is that I get the feeling that it could be repetitive. Like already I'm kind of seeing this formula that is going on where we see these different worlds with Sonic jumping into these different universes and interacting with all these other characters, where every time, or I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but it looks like every time Sonic jumps into a completely different dimension, he's going to go and see how it is completely different than what he's familiar with. He'll then find his friends who are now completely different versions of themselves, and they have no idea who Sonic is. And then soon Sonic will be allies with them again in order to take down the evil version of Robotnik in that universe. And then like you can go and restart the cycle again and again and again. And yeah, it is cool to see all these different universes, but if it's going to have that similar plot line being repeated over and over, like with every different dimension that they would go and present, I can imagine that it would end up becoming a bit redundant and a little bit tiring, regardless of what the theme of the episode or of what the string of episodes would actually be. Now, granted, maybe there will be some things that will be unique and try something new with it too. Like maybe there is a part of it in which they will go and actually have a side plot that will be linear, explaining about the whole paradox thing. But honestly, I don't know. It just feels like so far it just feels like Sonic is going to be jumping from different dimensions, and he's just going to go and just do the same thing again and again. And like maybe the execution could actually make things up for it, like with a lot of really fun action. And the animation has already proven itself to be pretty solid. But it's just narratively, I am a little bit concerned if we're just going to see the same plot repeat itself over and over with this series. So honestly, overall, I just find that there are definitely some good things about it. And I do understand if Sonic fans are really excited for this series. But I don't know, like it needs to do a bit more to try to prove to me, at least, that there is much more to it than the same universe plot line that's going to be repeated in the show again and again. But then again, that could be just me. However, if you are excited for Sonic Prime to be released, then keep in mind that it will be out on Netflix on December 15th. And with that said, I would like to go and talk to the chat wall right now. And I would like to know your thoughts. How do you feel about this trailer of Sonic Prime? Are you all excited to go and check this out? Are you guys a little bit more iffy? Do you have some doubts about it? And especially if you are a Sonic fan, I would love to know your thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. Let's see now. I think the animation looks quite good up close. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. That didn't come out well. I think the animation looks quite good up close and was not expecting the fact that it was going to tackle the multiverse. It'll be interesting to see the next few seasons that Sonic and the gang and go to other adaptations of Sonic, like the DLC Sonic series, Sonic X, or heck, even a crossover with the movie franchise. P.S. I really hope they make fun of Ken Peters' take on the franchise, Ken Peters' take on the franchise and how crappy his stories were. No, sadly, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like, you gotta keep in mind, this is Sonic on Netflix. Like, maybe it would be possible they would do that if this is Sonic on Paramount Plus, but in this case here, I think it's going to be a little bit more different. Like the different multiverses, I don't think they're really going to go and jump into different like Sonic worlds that we know in the video game. It's not like suddenly like one episode Sonic finds himself in like Sonic and the Black Knight, or another episode Sonic will find himself in Sonic Unleashed and stuff. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's really going to be more just the typical generic themes, you know, like the pirate theme, the survival theme, the dystopian theme, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think they're really going to go and really lean in onto the things that people are familiar, especially like, you know, it's not like we're suddenly going to have an episode where Sonic is in Sonic X and it's all anime, or suddenly we're going to see Sonic in which he'll have a little family reunion with Sonic Underground. I don't think that's going to be the case. Let's see. As a casual Sonic fan myself, this trailer looks pretty awesome. The animation is great. The action is a lot of fun. And the new voice actors, especially Ashley Ball, did a fantastic job as the characters they're playing. Considering that Sonic has a great result this year, I hope Sonic Prime will be a fun series to watch. All right, let's see here. I wasn't expecting too much from this, but this looks pretty fun. The story's a little bit samey, especially since we already have so many multiverse stories in this year alone, but the animation looks great and the voice cast is absolutely spot on. If I have time, I'll need to check it out, but I already know this won't be Sonic's high mark this year, considering he also gave us the best video game movie yet as of now. The Mario movie could still overtake it. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That's, you know, and that's one thing that's like holding me back a little bit from watching Sonic Prime, because honestly, it's going to be hard to top the enjoyment I had with Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Let's see, what else do we have here? This trailer looks fun to watch, and as I'm still learning more about the Sonic lore, this trailer got me curious to watch for the action scenes, to different multiverses, etc. I don't expect anything great, but I hope to see it as good when it comes out next month. All right. Oh, okay. I'm glad that after she had such a long absence for the game, this show is bringing back my beloved Rouge in many delicious new flavors, no less. This series looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. One question though, will it have the Chow Garden? Oh, the Chow Garden. Let's see. I don't know. Okay, horny police. We got him. He's right over here. Okay. Let's see. Oh, not Ken Peters. Ken Penders. Okay, sorry, my mistake right there. Let's see, what other comments do we have here? 2022 has definitely felt like a really great year for Sonic, and this trailer definitely looks like it could end the year for Sonic on a high note. I really like the different worlds Sonic goes, the voice acting is great, and the action scenes look a lot of fun. So overall, this is definitely a show I'm definitely anticipated to check out on Netflix. Hey, really nice, really nice. What other comments do we have? Sonic would be the type to get on that multiverse hype train. Jokes aside, I am liking what I am seeing so far. The animation feels energetic as hell. The voice actors fit these characters really well, and Sonic do feel like his usual self. I do, however, that the story might be a bit cliche and could be very repetitive, but hey, excuse me. Sonic isn't exactly that well known for his stories, with a few exceptions. Now, if you excuse me, I'm just gonna go and sing Sonic Frontiers Undefeatable. I see a lot of people seem to be pretty positive, and I do agree. The animation and the voice acting really do sell it well, and it's so far the high marks of the series. Let's see, 2020. Oh, okay. 2022 was definitely a big year for Sonic. First, we had the sequel to his movie. Then we had an open world game, and now we have Sonic Prime. The animation looks great, and the ideas this show brings us, especially when Sonic travels into different dimensions, is very creative. I actually don't mind the flaws because everything about this trailer looks amazing. This will definitely be a great end to 2022, the year of Sonic. All right, all right. Let's see. I think I'm going to go and read one more comment before we jump into the next story. So, let's see. I love how stretchy and punchy the animation is. It's using a lot of the colorful cast that make me like the blue blur so many years ago. Also, with a classic game collection remaster, new game, new movie, and a new TV series, 2022 is the year of Sonic the Hedgehog. Also, I just want to go and ask, isn't 2022 a significant year for Sonic? Isn't 2022 like the 30th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog? Because the game, the original game came out in 1992, right? You could correct me if I'm wrong here, but I guess there is a significant reason why Sonic has been very prominent this year. Okay, no, I was wrong. Apparently it was 1991. So last year it was the 30th anniversary, but still, I guess I don't know, being 31 is a major big deal that you get all these things happening at the same time. Hey, I mean, I just turned 30, so maybe amazing things will happen to me when I'll be turning 31 next year. Who the fridge knows? All right, so with that said, though, it looks like a lot of people seem to be pretty optimistic about Sonic Prime, and I do agree with a lot of these strong points here. So if you are all excited for Sonic Prime to come out, then keep in mind it will be released on Netflix on December 15th. Now, we do have one more trailer that we are going to go and watch, but not the last story of this episode. But trust me, this is going to be one that, fair warning, you may get jealous about what I'm going to show you. And we are back. And our next trailer, and the last trailer of this episode that I'm about to show you. Now, yes, I said before that you are about to be jealous about what I'm going to show you, unless you are Canadian, because this is going to be a Canada exclusive series that I'm about to show you. But at the same time, if you're an animation fan, well, let's just say that this show is going to be an animation fan's dream. So without further ado, allow me to go and present to you our next trailer, which is going to be, I guess you could say, the documentary series Stay Tooned.
Hi, I'm Eric Bauza.
I've always wanted to know how the cartoons we grew up with turned us into the people we are today. I'll talk with actors, experts, creators, and friends.
You forgot to mention Instagram model, but we'll fix it in post.
Who's your favorite cartoon villain of all time?
Shredder was terrifying to me.
The mouse from Tom and Jerry.
You can't just have a villain that's like, you know, like, I'm doing bad thing. I don't know if that's the sound of a quintessential villain.
But a lot of villains, they're coded as queer.
It's always to diminish, except for Bugs. Bugs is a diva. He gets a break.
No one looks better in lipstick than me.
What were some of the toys you had when you were growing up?
My Little Ponies.
I was obsessed with The Simpsons.
Transformers had to come out of a psychedelic trip. Some guy was on mushrooms or acid. He was like, that truck just turned into a robot. You have to be high.
Enter the public service announcement.
The crime dog, McGruff.
Recycle Rex.
The only PSAs I remember were telling us not to do drugs. Of course, I was already doing drugs.
Do you feel like that kept you away from doing drugs?
I'm gonna say no.
It's pretty weird, huh?
Yeah, it is pretty weird. What? Any cartoon crushes growing up?
Jessica Rabbit.
Jessica Rabbit. We're gonna keep this as professional as possible.
And I love The Simpsons, but I just remember realizing that those are all white folks.
Right.
Doing the black voices, the Middle Eastern voice, the Quickie Mart voice.
It's an indication that they never pictured us as the audience.
Right.
And for nerds like me, we weren't looking to see ourselves in our genre entertainment. Although every once in a while you had something, you're like, that's me.
Ready to see what comes next?
The greatest villain of all time.
Then stay tuned.
Yeah, that's all, folks.
And that is Stay Tuned, which is Eric Bauza's new series all about animation, in which is going to be coming soon on the Canadian streaming platform CBC Gem, starting on December 2nd. Now, I just gotta say, and one thing I just want to go and clarify right now, some people are probably asking me, considering that I am Canadian myself, do I have CBC Gems? Is that a part of my streaming collection? Honestly, no. Because the ones that I do have are some of the more, like, biggest and well-known streaming platforms, you know, like Amazon, Netflix, Disney Plus, and stuff like that. So I don't know if I really do have room to fit even more streaming platforms such as CBC Gems, because if I do get it, like, yeah, I would definitely go and watch Stay Tuned, but there's not a lot of other Canadian content that I do watch, to be very honest. But anyways, going back into this, the basic summary about Stay Tuned is that, yes, it is hosted by Eric Bauza, who has become a very prominent voice actor, and in fact, nowadays, he is the leading voice of the Looney Tunes characters, even doing voices like Bugs, Daffy, Sylvester, Tweety, and several others. And the series pretty much highlights the cultural impact of animation, like really going into different subjects and even talking to many different celebrities, like different actors, talking to filmmakers, talking to cartoon creators and all that kind of stuff, really highlighting the impact that cartoons have, rather it be that they were just like short animated shorts, like the cartoons of the golden era with Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny, the ones on television, which that one seems to be a massive highlight that they would go into, and even like cartoons as part of like so, you know, like that are involved with social commentary or a part of social issues, in which they would go and discuss about racism. They would talk about PSAs and how they played a significant role, like with stuff like McGruff the Crime Dog, or even queer coding as well. So there are a lot of elements that they do discuss about, but primarily it's about how animation really did shape things up in our culture. And honestly, it's this is why I feel like this seems like an animation fan's dream, where it's pretty much a celebration of animation all around, with many prominent animation figures and some prominent filmmakers as well, where we have seen some big name familiar people in there. Like we had Ken Jeong that's featured. We got comedian Russell Peters that showed up, but we also got other voice actors that every animation fan can recognize. Like we had a moment where we saw Phil Lamar, like we saw Tara Strong, and I think like at one moment we even saw like some other people like who did work in animation, such as like I think we saw Lauren Faust, if I'm not mistaken. Like there's that one quick shot in which he was talking to her through Skype. If oh yeah, and there's also cannot forget that they also there was also Cree Summers that also did show up. What was that, Lauren Faust? I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I just want to double check because like she showed up really quick on that screen. So hold on, where would she be? But you guys do get what I mean, though. That this is pretty much highlighting and talking with a lot of people who were heavily involved with animation, and that, you know, that they played a significant role as well in making these cartoons, and just talking about like how they have changed our lives, how they have made that great of an impact. And at the very least, I do find that to be very interesting and kind of a cool concept as well, especially with the fact that it is hosted by Eric Bauza, who, like I said before, has really placed himself in both the animation world and in the cartoon world with his legacy voices, with the fact that he's the new voice of the Looney Tunes, of Woody Woodpecker, or even of Baby Fozzie and Muppet Babies. So honestly, and also not to mention that the reason why that they managed to get Eric Bauza into this is that Eric Bauza is a very proud Canadian. Now, there have been a lot of different voice actors and a lot of people in animation who are Canadian, like Cree Summers. I believe Cree Summers is Canadian, and also Tara Strong, who are born in Canada. But Eric Bauza, he really does honor that, he really does honor his Canadian roots. Like, he has a true passion and love for it. So much so that at the same time with his voice acting gig, he also has a clothing business called Retro Kid, in which he would go and sell t-shirts, and he would sell clothes that would feature retro Canadian brands. Like right now, he made a new update on like a whole bunch of YTV stuff that they would sell, and even a whole lot of brands that people from around the world that they would recognize, you know, like a lot of Hanna-Barbera stuff like the Flintstones or Scooby-Doo. But the main selling point is retro Canadian stuff. And honestly, it's actually pretty cool. I myself am actually thinking of grabbing like a YTV shirt, honestly. Like, it would be cool, like, just to have like that piece of nostalgia, considering that I'm actually a kid that really grew up with a lot of Teletoon and Cartoon Network, along with like Cartoon Network and stuff like that. In fact, a lot of the shows that did come from Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, I actually watched through YTV and Teletoon. So overall, as an animation fan, this really did get my, this actually caught my attention. I'm honestly very curious to see what this is all about. I don't know if, I don't know if this is a high priority to check out. Like, this isn't something that I'll immediately go and say, like, I gotta get CBC Gem for this, but still a really cool series nonetheless. And I am curious to see how this goes. And who knows, maybe there will be some international places like the US or whatever. Maybe they could pick it up and show it to everyone else. I think there's actually a really cool idea that animation fans would definitely get on board with. And for you Canadians who are able to have CBC Gems and maybe have access to Stay Tuned, then keep in mind that the show will be released on December 2nd. By the way, is it a series, by the way? I just realized, like, I keep saying that this is a series. I don't know if this is a series, or maybe this is just a one-time, like, documentary feature. But either way, like, this is a content that is going to be coming soon and hosted by Eric Bauza. That I do know. All right, so anyways, with that said and done, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, how do you all feel about the trailer that we have seen with Stay Tuned? Are you guys interested in checking this one out? Do you have any questions that you would like to know? Let me know what you all think. Let's see now. This one looks interesting. Animation isn't just entertainment factor. A part of the art, as a part of the art world, it can also help us ponder on some social issues that mainstream media wouldn't touch upon. Same thing for cinema as a whole. Being not a primary art, it's a excuse me, it's a combination of several extant arts. It was first regarded as a new form of expression, but then got tentacled throughout the decade by corporate and monetary greed. I'm not Canadian, but I'm glad this content is made. Right, that's nice. I'm actually curious about this documentary. I really enjoyed Eric Bauza's performance as the Looney Tunes like Bugs, Porky, Daffy, and more. Hell, I'd even consider him the next modern Mel Blanc. And I am glad that that it shows Tara Strong, Lauren Faust, Cree Summers, Ben Schwartz, and Phil Lamar. Now, all that we're missing is Tom Kenny because he is a well-known voice actor. Even though that I'm not Canadian, I would totally give it a watch. In fact, I would actually say that I believe this is actually going to feature the final appearance of Kevin Conroy, because I do believe Eric Bauza did mention that Kevin Conroy is going to be making an appearance in Stay Tuned, and one of his last appearance before he unfortunately passed away recently. So that's also a significant thing to mention. So maybe there is going to be plenty more recognizable voice actors that we will find. Let's see what else we have here. I absolutely want to see it, and I'm Californian. I met half of these people in this documentary. This show is meant for me. Hopefully, I can use a VPN to help me see this as soon as possible. As with Guillermo del Toro himself said, animation is a medium. I thought he said that animation is art, but it means the same thing, you know? Let's see. I am honestly extremely jealous that this is a Canadian exclusive. See what I mean? See what I mean? This honestly looks like a really great series with a great concept. It looks like it could go into how these people got connected with animation and what inspired it. So overall, this looks like a really cool series. Now, if you excuse me, I'm moving to Canada to watch this show. All right, well, good luck with that, dude. Do we have any other comments? It seems like something that people seem to be rather quiet to talk about, or it's not really generating that much comments from what I'm seeing, honestly. All right, so I think okay, so I guess we'll go with this one, and then we'll move on to the grand finale. Let's see. Well, I am now indeed jealous. I won't hold on a sec. Well, I am now indeed jealous. I won't sadly be able to see this since I am Swedish. Despite that, though, really? You're Swedish? I didn't know that. Despite that, though, I just love what has been shown from this trailer. I love that not just that we are talking about all kinds of cartoons from different eras, but also talking about various topics in cartoons, whether it is racism, queer coding, or whatever characters are these fan favorites. In fact, I kind of want to meet a few of these people for clearly good reasons. Tried to hide anti-porn bait. Hey, you know, I would love to meet like a lot of these people as well. The most that I could say that I've met is, well, I didn't necessarily meet, but I did see Russell Peters live when he was performing at Just for Laughs this year. So, like, that's the most that I can honestly say. But yeah, I'm with you. I would love to meet many of these people as well. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is a Canada exclusive for now, but definitely a really cool idea. And definitely something that I personally am curious to check out. So if you are Canadian or if you're in Canada and you want to check out Stay Tuned, then keep in mind it will be released on CBC Gem on December 2nd. Now tune in, though, we do have a grand finale coming up, and oh boy, it's a real crazy one. And let's just say that the end is near, and I'm not just talking about this episode. Oh yes, it is time, folks. it is now time that we shall get into the grand finale. And for this finale, well, we're going to take a step back from animation because we're going to talk about something that many of us are involved with, especially me, considering that it is partly my job, with social media. But oh boy, if you've been part of this one social media, if you've been part of this website, however, you're just seeing absolute chaos. A massive bonfire that will inevitably take down the structure. And there's been so many things that has happened ever since the last time I talked about it. But let's try to go and catch up with what's been going on. So without further ado, let's talk about what's been happening on Twitter. Because, oh boy, when Elon Musk stepped in to be in charge, it was just chaos all around. Nothing but chaos. Almost like every day there's been a significant update as to what happened on Twitter. Something that Elon Musk has done that felt detrimental and pretty damaging to the reputation of Twitter. Okay, so let's go and quickly summarize what has actually happened. So you probably do remember just before Halloween at the end of October, Elon Musk stepped in to become the new CEO after the courts have forced him to pay $44 billion in order to have the ownership of Twitter. And since then, Elon Musk has done a lot of very questionable and controversial decisions. Whether it be the updated Twitter Blue, where for $8 a month, he has completely changed up the verification systems, where not only it ended up costing Twitter so much more money, where it was much more of a financial failure, but it also turned off a lot of advertisers to go and bail out and caused a lot of people to go and create impersonation accounts pretending to be official companies and saying whatever they wish. So already that Twitter Blue factor was just a disaster right there. And then there were a whole bunch of employees that just got fired. Now, one thing that is very important to note, that before Elon Musk stepped in, there was about 7,400 to 7,500 employees that were working at Twitter. Now, one of the first major decisions that Elon Musk has done is to go and slash the entire workforce in half. That half of the entire people were just completely laid off. They were completely gone. And then straight afterwards, one after another, they were just dropping like flies. Hundreds of employees that immediately got fired because they were just criticizing him. Very ironic considering that Elon Musk wanted to portray himself as a free speech absolutist, and yet when he sees anybody who is working for him who dares criticize him or say something that isn't necessarily a positive thing, then he would just go and immediately fire them. So just one after another, he would keep impulsing people. And then it brings us to very recently to what happened on Tuesday, which I believe was the 17th. Now, Musk went and go and he gave an ultimatum to his employees. He decided to go and give them all an ultimatum. The fact that he wanted to go and make a Twitter 2.0. He wants to go and completely reshape it into his own image. And oh dear Lord, it looks like hold on. Look, am I back? Okay, sorry. It looks like for a second there, I thought my stream was frozen there. Okay. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Just like a quick little recap there. Now, the thing is that with Elon Musk, he wanted to give his employees an ultimatum that if they're not committed to go and work hardcore for him to create his Twitter 2.0, then they would be let go. And they were given the choice of either yes or no. And as it turns out, that decision really backfired, considering that Elon, when he stepped in, he already took away so much of their benefits, and now he's asking them to work even more hours, like to work even at to work past midnight and to go and actually like even sleep at Twitter so that they can go and continue to work for him with no other benefits whatsoever. About 75% of people who took that survey, they decided to say no, and now they have quit their jobs. Like, they all decided to have like a mass exodus. And now Twitter is pretty much just left with like a skeleton crew, like just a simple fraction of how many people were there. In fact, the amount of people that are on Twitter compared to before Elon Musk came in, some people, like, they were passing around different numbers. Like, one example from this article here on The Hollywood Reporter, they're saying that it could be up to close to 90% of the original employees that are just completely gone. In fact, this is actually a quote coming from Fortune tech reporter Kylie Robinson, in which she states, "Let's put this into perspective. At the beginning of this month, Twitter had 7,400 employees. Barely halfway through the month, if 75% do actually stick to their decision today of saying no and to leave the company, then the company will have shrunk by a whopping 88%, or approximately 88%. Now, again, this number may vary a little bit. Some are saying that just over 10% of the employees are now staying at Twitter, and there are some that say that up to 33%, so just a third of the workforce compared to the beginning of November, are now sticking in there. But the fact is, and by the way, this is not even to mention that the employees that are sticking around, almost all of them are migrant workers, are people with work visas in which they have no choice but to say, because if they say no, then they have to be deported. So at that point, Elon is pretty much left with a skeleton crew, barely enough people to go and actually sustain Twitter. Which is why at that point, Elon decided that for the weekend, he would go and close down the offices, only stick around with the people that he can trust to make sure that there's no one else that would go and sabotage Twitter or his image of Twitter. And by that point, it caused a massive, it pretty much caused mass hysteria on social media, and especially on Twitter, where a lot of people were freaking out by saying that it was the end of Twitter. And I will admit that I actually participated in that myself, where everybody was just saying their goodbyes. We're just saying that Twitter is over, that the website is going to die soon, sharing their social media platforms, sharing that you can also follow me on like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, or not Twitter, but on YouTube or whatever. And some that are even starting other websites that are similar to Twitter, but they decided to migrate over to other social media places, including Tumblr, Mastodon, Hive, and whatever. Like, people have been freaking out about the death of Twitter. However, I will state that as I am recording this right now, Twitter is technically still alive. I don't know by the time that if you're going to be watching this in the future that Twitter is technically still around, but technically Twitter is still there, but it's in a very weak and very vulnerable shape. Now, at this point, I know there are some people that would go and say that the whole rest in peace Twitter, or that the whole trend that Twitter was dying, a lot of people claim that it was all just a misunderstanding, that they were pretty much explaining to everyone the same way the mouse from that old mouse from The Legend of Titanic was telling people that the Titanic actually did not sink, or that nobody actually died in the Titanic. They were pretty much mansplaining to everyone by saying that, oh, no, Twitter's not shutting down. It's just the offices that are shutting down. Elon Musk wants to make sure that there's nobody who would go and sabotage Twitter. It will come back on Monday, November 21st. It's all a misunderstanding. But in actuality, the thing that I just want to say right now is that personally, after everything that we have seen, and especially after how we're watching Elon Musk handling Twitter, I believe that yes, if this continues, there will be a moment that we will unironically see the end of Twitter. And this is not an exaggeration. Like, one thing I can say right now, you cannot look at the literal thousands of people who have been laid off or quit or just left Twitter and say that things are still going to be fine. Like, that's just from the, like, that really feels like it's just coming from the perspective of some snobbish brat who thinks that they're smarter than everyone and think that they know the system by saying like, oh, you don't need thousands of people working on it. All, you know, it's just a simple system where you just write something in a box and it'll post it. Anyone could go and do that. Anyone could go and handle it. Like, those are the people that obviously do not comprehend how Twitter works. Because yes, Twitter is a massive system that really does need thousands of people to be in charge and actually go and work on it, to go and handle things, to make sure everything is fine, everything is secure, and that everything is safe. Because without them, Twitter would just be in complete disarray. It would just be completely broken down, especially when like there's not enough people to go and take care of the systems, to take care of the security, where things can really fall flat. Because right now, it doesn't matter who specifically is working there, because of the fact that thousands of experienced engineers and tech experts have left the company. It's just left in the hands of a handful of people whom clearly, like, regardless of their experience, I'm not questioning them on that. There's just not enough people, period, to go and handle Twitter, especially the fact that we're talking about one of the biggest social media platforms that has 300 million people, or around 300 million people, making billions of posts on a daily basis, or I would even say on an hourly basis. And there is going to be a point where the system is going to break down and all these people will have no idea what to do, or there's not going to be enough of them to go and quickly react, to go and take care of the situation immediately. Because at this point, with the lack of people that there are right now, there are many ways that it could just go and immediately die out. And there's actually one article that I have over here that does explain it. This is from the BBC, an article in which it's called, "Is This Really the End of Twitter?" And they actually talked about all the possibilities of what could happen that will go and mark the end of Twitter altogether. Like, they're talking about a situation if a hack could come in. Like, you never know if there's going to be a hack who will go and intervene with Twitter systems and they can go and do whatever they want, even just make everything explode. That could be a scenario. Or there is another one in which I've already mentioned a bit, but the servers, in which the servers may have a little bit too much to handle, and it could just blow itself up, or it could just cause itself to go and crash and just like shut down immediately, which will cause the entire systems to just go and shut down. Or I will go and explain to this a little later, but there is also what they call the nuclear option, in which Elon Musk could ultimately go and decide that everything will shut down and he could just go and immediately file for bankruptcy, that everything is just too much to handle, and he decided to just close it all down altogether and just say that Twitter is now bankrupt. And keep in mind, this is just in terms of the factors of how there are not enough people who are actually working at Twitter. This is just a factor of the amount, this is just the factor about not only the fact that there are few people working on at Twitter right now, but the treatment that they're getting, it's pretty bad. Like, keep in mind, like, the majority of these people are actually migrant workers. They have no choice but to go and obey Elon Musk's orders, or else they're going to leave the country. They're going to lose they're not just going to lose their job, but they're going to lose their place in the United States, and they would have to go back to wherever they came from. And the thing is that this pretty much opens the opportunity for Elon Musk to treat them however they want, to give them as little benefits as possible, to give them as little pay as possible, and to make them work as many grueling hours, like not even give them a chance to go back into their own homes, like to make Twitter their actual home and make their only purpose in life is to go and serve Elon Musk. And literally, that's it. And by the way, that's another thing worth talking about, and that is regarding Elon Musk, who is increasingly becoming more and more and more of a liability onto Twitter, so much so that his own incompetence is going to become a massive downfall. Now, I've already warned you all about this. Last time I have discussed about the entire Twitter scenario, and with Elon Musk officially owning Twitter, I mentioned how there are two different paths that Elon Musk would go: the competent way and the incompetent way. In which the competent way would be the fact that he would make things fair for Twitter, he would go and post less stuff on the social media site, that he would keep his politics out of this, and he would go and maintain moderation, or actually increase moderation for the website to be safe, so that no hate speech, no harassment, no misinformation would be allowed to be spread around on Twitter. But that's not what he did. Instead, he decided to go into the opposite route, in which he would continuously double down on his free speech absolutist mode, where right now there's like little to no moderation in terms of hate speech. Like right now we're seeing that flourish like crazy, and we are already seeing the massive consequences of like of what hate speech is causing. In fact, I'm just going to say right now, I would not be surprised if Elon Musk's decision of letting hate speech flourish, it would end up causing it would partly be responsible for the mass shooting that we have just witnessed in Colorado Springs. Like, he's pretty much letting all that go around, and not to mention he himself acting like a 12-year-old, he's pretty much acting like a 12-year-old edgelord troll, like continuously making his posts about, trying to make all these kinds of snarky remarks, saying screw you to the haters and trying to say how great he is and stuff like that, and not to mention unbanning so many people who were once banned for a reason, for spreading way too much hate speech and causing real damage to Twitter's reputation. Like bringing in some highly controversial people, and I would say almost criminal people like Andrew Tate, bringing back Kanye West, and yes, even bringing back Donald Trump, whom the last one I will say is actually pretty interesting, because as of right now, I don't think Donald Trump has posted anything. Like, he's still committed to sticking to his Truth Social. And honestly, I feel like with that one, as a horrible decision as it is, I think it's really one where Republicans should be really careful with what they wish for, because if they really want Donald Trump to be back, he's a lot more of an equal opportunist, where right now he's attacking Republicans as much as he's attacking Democrats, to the point where now Republicans are pretty much left with a very difficult decision, where if they have to be on Team Trump or on Team DeSantis, they cannot be both. And I'm going to warn you right now, based on what we have seen on the evidence of Trump's relationship with Elon Musk, I would not be surprised if we are going to see the day in which all these anti-woke incels and all these MAGA-loving Republicans, they will have to make a very difficult choice of either being on Team Trump or being on Team Musk. But that's the thing, Elon is making more and more of these really pulling off all these boneheaded moves, trying to turn Twitter into this far-right fantasy, pretty much turning it into something like 4chan or Kiwi Forums or stuff like that. But there's whatever action happens, the thing is, we all know, the one rule in life is that whatever actions you do, it will have consequences. And we're already seeing some very serious consequences occur, especially with so many advertisers just bailing out one after another again and again and again. And we've already heard reports that even CBS is even bailing out of Twitter. And there's already plenty of others that have bailed out. Even as I'm recording today, there have also been some very serious consequences that we are witnessing right now, including the heads of Twitter UK and Twitter France just bailing out because they are sick and tired of seeing Elon Musk's nationalism just trying to flourish and rubbing it on everybody's face on Twitter. So we're already seeing that starting to occur. And also, there's another thing that is pretty much looming into something that's very dangerous. Apparently, the head of marketing at Apple has officially deleted his Twitter account. The head of marketing, the guy who is responsible for, distributing which social media apps or what to present, what's on your iPhones or your iPads and stuff like that. Yeah, he's officially gone. And that could be another massive warning that a lot of people are pretty much predicting that now there is a possibility that big companies like Google and Apple could take away Twitter off of their platforms. Like, you can no longer go and access Twitter onto your iPhones or onto your Androids and stuff like that. There is a possibility that they could just pull it out of their systems. And if that does happen, like, even if it's just one of them, even if it's just Apple doing that, Twitter is just done for. And with all these things, this is why, for me, I personally believe that right now, Twitter has pretty much become a ticking time bomb. That right now, because of Elon Musk's complete incompetence, because of the fact that he's much more desperate to go and spread his far-right hate speech as much as he wants, like pretty much being so desperate to get the attention of his far-right fanboys, it's going to cost Twitter its entire reputation. Like, I don't know if it's going to happen in a matter of days. Maybe it'll just happen in a matter of weeks, or maybe it could even happen in a matter of months. Maybe Twitter will be lucky and we will be able to see it by 2023. But the fact is, there is going to be a clear end for Twitter, and it's going to be at the point where there's no signs, there's no directions where there's going to be a happy ending, and it will ultimately lead to failure. Rather it be because the servers would go and blow up, rather it be because of Elon Musk's desperate conservatism trying to desperately flourish around and it's scaring away all advertisers, or maybe even like it could be just because some social media, so it's because big companies like Apple and Google decided they don't want to do business with Twitter. A lot of possibilities could happen. And even right now, some people are saying that what we are witnessing is the biggest test of Twitter, and that is the FIFA World Cup. And considering the considering that a major event like the FIFA World Cup would go and bring in like millions upon millions upon millions of people to really get engaged with Twitter to put in their own commentary, there is a possibility that by the time we get closer and closer to the finals, the system, like the servers, are just going to blow up and it's going to cause Twitter to be like completely defunct. That's also a major possibility. Like right now, the only way that Twitter could save itself is to get Elon Musk out of the picture. Find a way to just get him out of there. Like, I don't, like, considering that he's the owner, like, I can imagine that's a very difficult thing to do, but to at least do something to just get rid of Elon Musk and replace him with a more competent CEO that will put a ban on hate speech, that will go and bring back advertisers to go and try to save Twitter as much as possible. But as long as Elon Musk is staying in there, like the entire thing, like I said before, is just a ticking time bomb. Now, I know that I've already gotten a lot of crap from Elon Musk's fanboys. Like, I've already gotten a lot of crap from like Trump supporters, from Musk fans and crypto bros and all that kind of stuff, just making fun of me of the fact that I'm warning people that this really is the end of Twitter because of Elon Musk's incompetence. But I'm just warning you right now, Elon Musk has a prominent history of just failing again and again and again and again, and just having things not really go well on his side. In fact, what we are witnessing right now is almost like a reenactment of what we have just seen with NFTs. Like, you remember how NFTs were like massively popular and they were major big and their values were stupidly high. But nowadays, NFTs and cryptocurrencies, like, they're just going down. Like, they are not as popular as what they used to be. And like right now, crypto fans are pretty much synonymous with poor people. Like, the business is completely dying before our very eyes, and pretty quickly, may I add. And keep in mind, and like the whole business with NFTs, Elon Musk was considered to be like the messiah of it, like a massive god who could pretty much make one tweet and could either make or break a full-on NFT. Like, he was the leader of the cryptocurrency. And with its current state right now of just being practically dead, I'm sure the same thing is indeed going to happen with Twitter. Like, that's pretty much going to be the bottom line of what's going to happen. And so overall, I'm just going to say that for me, for now, I'm just going to say that I am going to stick with Twitter. Like, for now, I'm just watching the fire to see, like, when is it going to ultimately collapse? But if things are not going to get better, if they don't find a way to make Elon Musk competent, to actually make him do a smart decision for the first time of his life, then this is not only going to be the end of Twitter, but it's also going to be the end of Elon Musk's reputation, where his own incompetence and his own conservatism will result in Elon Musk to become poor. That's going to be the ending that's clearly going to be shown. And again, like, we don't know if it's actually going to happen, if it'll even survive, but who the fridge knows? I mean, like, the future is just so uncertain, especially with how right now Elon Musk is so unpredictable, and how many of the rumors that we have heard in the past, rather it be like Twitter filing for bankruptcy, in which Elon Musk did warn to his employees that it could happen. The fact that maybe Twitter will end up having a paywall in order to compensate for the lack of advertisers that are actually there, or like whatever option there is. Like, there's a lot of these rumors that are currently going on, but they're all so credible because of the way that Elon Musk is just running things. It's going to fail, people. I'm just saying that right now we may be witnessing the downfall of one of the biggest platforms of all times. And if things don't get better at this point, if Elon doesn't change his attitude, then the sooner we will see it just collapse in itself. All right, so now with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and now I would like to go and ask you all, how do you guys feel about the current situation of Twitter? And if you are a Twitter user, I would like to know what you think. Actually, before we go and do that, we're going to go into one more commercial break, and then I will get back to you, because I know you guys have a lot to say on this. So we just need a little bit more time before an ad would go and break in. So might as well go and activate that now before it's too late. You know what I mean? All right, we are back, and now it's time we're going to go into the chat wall and see what you guys have to say, because I know that you have a lot to say here. So let's see. Elon Musk has destroyed Twitter altogether. With Musk reviving Trump's Twitter account to make things worse, the company's reputation is pretty dead, even though it has not shut down altogether. Musk is incompetent to run a social media platform, and he is dragging the company to hell with him. Also, I'm seeing the early screening of Puss in Boots 2 on Saturday during Thanksgiving weekend. I was glad to see Netflix's Pinocchio in theaters last weekend, then so can Puss in Boots 2. Hope it's great. Hey, same thing, man. I'm just telling you right now that I think for the rest of the year, a lot of my reviews are going to be like on the same day as their release. I've already seen Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, and also just like you, I'm going to go see Puss in Boots on Saturday. So looks like at the end of 2022, I've been really lucky so far with these screenings. Let's see what else we have here. Honestly, I was curious to see what Musk would do when he bought Twitter, and seeing if he could make some improvements that were very much needed. Oh boy, was I wrong. When he announced the paid subscriptions for the blue tick, I knew it was bound to fail, and sure enough, on day one, it was quickly taken off. I thought it was hilarious that the fandom menace was sucking Elon's toe and asking him why buying Twitter was the good thing, only to have it fall flat in their faces. Oh yeah, and that's the insane thing about it, is that we're just witnessing these Elon Musk fanboys. Like, right now, all they're doing is just mental gymnastics, trying to explain to themselves that everything he does is smart. Like, the fact of the matter is, Elon Musk is a stupid individual, and the only person who is dumber than him are his fans for thinking that Elon Musk is smart. But that is real. But like what we are witnessing here with what he's doing on Twitter, with the fact that he's trying to be so much of an attention-seeking troll, that could not be further from the truth. And his nationalism and his incompetence will result in him in just destroying his money. Like, I think it's safe to say his $44 billion investment, it is dead. Oh, let's see now. I never thought Elon Musk would get this bad, from his greed to his enabling of bad people, and now the layoffs. I'm praying that Twitter doesn't die, and I know we're going to get piled on since Elon Sims are very annoying, And I remember that I replied to you on Twitter and ended up getting piled on by Elon simps. I wish Elon would just go away. Yeah, I know. The thing is that with Elon Musk being like the most famous troll in the universe, he would go and attract plenty of other trolls. Like, honestly, I couldn't care less with what they have to say. Like, even if they would be big accounts with hundreds of thousands of followers, hell, I even, like, for some reason, I even had a conservative politician who would try to go and troll and harass me at the same time. Like, he tries to go and try to bully me too, but like, honestly, I couldn't give a crap. Like, honestly, like, they could say whatever they want for me, but the truth of the matter is, I know for a fact that I've been right about Donald Trump. I've been right about other far-right personalities. Like, I've been proven to be right about Nick Rechietta. I've been proven to be right about Vic Mignogna, and you will see that I will be proven right about Elon Musk. So honestly, I couldn't care less what they say, because whatever opinions they have, they're too simple-minded for me to go and listen to them. Let's see now. What other comments do we have? Well, this looks like a mess. Don't know if this means if Twitter would end soon or not, but it shows that Twitter would not be a good site for me to advertise my content. Which is why I'm expanding my social media on things like Hive, Instagram, and Tumblr. Whatever happens, either people goes into the Titanic and abandoning ship, or go Eustace from Courage the Cowardly Dog and refuse to get out of the chair. Yeah, I think that's real. Honestly, I'm guilty of being Eustace here. Like, I'm just seeing the fire and I'm just with my newspaper like, nope, not getting out of this chair. Oh, what a fun episode that was. Let's see now. To think one of the greatest social networks was brought down not by an army of people, but just one man. Elon Musk has been nothing but a walking disaster ever since he bought Twitter, and all he has ever done is just make Twitter worse and worse and worse. At this point, everyone is just here to watch the entire thing burning down, just like the end of the original Final Fantasy XIV. At this point, I only got one question for you all. Where would we meet up next time? Tumblr, MySpace, Hive, Gaia Online? Who knows? For now, I'm just gonna keep Twitter. I'm just gonna keep Twitter, and I know I have my other social media platforms. Like, I have Twitch here. I have Facebook, Instagram. Let's see, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube as well. And who knows? Like, if there are some others that are very popular that are worth going into, then I will take a look into them. Like, I've heard like Mastodon and Hive are pretty popular right now, so I'll wait and see with how things go. And if they are proven to be very popular, that everyone's joining there, then I'll consider jumping into it too. Let's see. I think actually, well, a lot of them are repeating, so I'm gonna go and read. I'll read two more comments before we go. I'm saying this the third time, and I don't care if I get rage or scolded on by this, but I bet I'm allowed to alter the moment when Yick Finger points the finger, and instead of the Jaeger himself, she will point towards those who are the true fraction of the world's true enemy. I have no idea what the frick that means. All right, anyways, well, it seems as if Twitter is falling. Or whether it be Musk's childlike behavior and bigotry, which was actually summed up in a political cartoon shared by Joy-Ann Reid, to his refusal to keep staff working if they made fun of him. If he keeps this up, he'll be broke. And how do I put this? Beep, 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 beep. What the? Yeah. Inevitably, Twitter is gonna fall. It's only just a matter of when. And with that said, folks, thank you all for joining me on this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. What a wild ride it has been, but this has certainly been fun. So tune in next week, where we will have another fun and crazy-filled episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. So with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And also, don't forget to go and subscribe to me on Twitch and on YouTube, and to follow me on whatever podcast service you're listening on. So thank you all so much. And until next time, see you later, dudes.